the foldable, there are 4 sections that we're going to talk about. One is called evaluating functions, using obviously function notation, how to use function notation when you're looking at a graph, and also function notation when you're adding and subtracting functions. All right, so the first one we have here is f of x equals to negative 2x plus 7. Find f of 3. So this is how you're going to write it. So please make sure you're taking notes. So again, where you see this 3, we're going to replace it with this x. So I'm going to say f of 3 equals, and then everywhere I see x in this function, I'm going to replace it with 3. And there's only one replacement here. And then you actually just do the math. So we have negative 6 plus 7, and then your last statement would say f of 3 equals to 1. Okay, so that's how the work is done for it, and that's just the notation for it. So since this is your input, and this is your output, we can actually write them as coordinates, because we already know the 3 is my input. My input is called x. My output is called y. And now you can write it as a coordinate, 3, comma, y. All right, let's take a look at question number 2, which is a different question. So it's very important to know if you're looking for x or y. So in this particular question, it says, for the function f of x equals to 3x plus 8, find the value of x. So we're not finding y this time. We're actually finding x. Now keep in mind, another name for f of x is y. So here, they're telling you that y equals negative 7. When they say f of x equals negative 7, that means y is negative 7. So now I'm going to take my f of x equation right here. This is what they gave me. I am going to replace f of x with negative 7. Because this time I am solving for x. And then you just solve for x. So x equals negative 5. So if I write this as a coordinate, I'm going to put my x first, which is negative 5, and my y, which they gave me in the problem, was negative 7. Another name for y is f of x. All right, moving on. So if you're looking at a graph, okay, let's take a look. So anytime they give you a number in parentheses, they are giving you the value of x. Okay, that's the value of x that's in parentheses. So it's asking you to go on the x-axis to 2, which is right here, and read what the y value would be for that on that line. So I'm going to go up to the line, and I'm going to go across this way to read the y value. And what is the y value? 3. So I'm going to say f of 2 equals 3. So the coordinate basically is 2, 3. Question number 4. Now in question number 4, are they giving me x or are they giving me y? They're giving me y because it's after the equal sign. So the answer, which comes after the equal sign, this is the y value. So I'm going to go on the y-axis at negative 1, which is here. And then I'm going to go across to the line, and I'm going to read what the x value is. And what is x? Negative 2. So I'm going to say f of negative 2 equals negative 1. Because remember, x goes in the parentheses. Okay, so f of negative 2 equals negative 1. So the coordinate would be negative 2, negative 1. Okay. All right, moving on. So if we're adding functions together, it's just like combining like terms together. So we've combined x's to x's, constants to constants. We've done that before, but this is the way you're going to see it written. So it says, given the linear function f of x equals 5x minus 1, and g of x is negative 2x plus 9, find, and they're going to call it a different name, h of x, when you add the two functions together. So basically, they want you to take the function that's called f of x and g of x and add them together. Okay, so if you want to do it vertically, you can definitely do it this way and add them together. Okay, you can do that. So now your x's are already together, your constants are already together. So if I have 5 x's and I take 2 x's away, how many x's do I have? I have 3 x's, right? And then negative 1 plus 9 gives me plus 8. So when you write your final answer in function notation, you're going to write h of x, because they told us to call the new one h of x equals 3x plus 8. All right, let's move on. And now we're going to add these together, still adding the two functions together that we're going to call the new one h of x. So I have negative 4x minus 3 plus negative 2x plus 10. Going to add these together, negative 6x plus 7. So h of x equals negative 6x plus 7. All right, so let's do a couple of subtracting ones. The only thing you have to be careful when you're subtracting, because they're telling us to take the two functions and subtract them. So when I put a minus sign in front of here, it's going to change everything I have. The signs will change on that second row. Okay, so that's why I put it in parentheses, so you'll know that, you know, when you do this right here, that's going to be a plus 3, not a minus 3. All right, so I'm going to end up with a positive 4 and a positive 3 gives me a positive 7. And 9 minus 3 gives me 6x. So you just want to be careful with subtraction because it changes the signs. Okay, that's just our integer rules. And then for number 8, and again, well, first let's go ahead and finish this. So j of x equals 6x plus 7. All right, now last one, we're going to take the 2 and subtract again. So I'm going to have negative 7x minus 7 minus the 2x minus 2. All right, so I'll give you a chance to give me an answer for that. Okay, so work it out and see what you get. All right, who would like to give this one a try? Okay, go ahead. All right, so you should have negative 9x minus 5. Okay, because again, that minus sign changes that to a positive 2. So you want to make sure you're not making a mistake there. All right, so on page 9 in your packet, I just want to make sure, I'm going to do the first one with you just to get you started. So here it says f of t. So really, they're not going to always use x, but whatever's in parentheses is the value for x. So here, this is called t. So we'll say f of negative 7 equals, and this is how you would write it, 3 times negative 7 minus 2. Okay, and then we'll just do the work. Negative 21 minus 2 And that's going to give us negative what? Okay, so you're going to put f of negative 7 equals 23. And then we're going to write our final answer as a coordinate. Okay, x and y. Okay, so that's how you get started with that. And just keep in mind, guys, when you get down to question number 5, okay, in question number 5, what's in parentheses is the value of x. So these are your values for x. So that means you want to go over the x-axis to negative 6 and then determine what the y value is. When you do question number 6, they're giving you the y values. So these are your y values. Okay, so you got to really pay close attention if they're giving you x or if they're giving you y. So if it comes after the equal sign, that's the y. If it's in parentheses, that's the x. When you get to page 10, okay, on page 10, they're still are going to call the function a in this case. So on this page, either you're adding or subtracting them. So see, the first one is a plus, 8 is a plus, 9 you're subtracting, 10 is plus. So you're only adding or subtracting. That little variable afterwards, just call your final answer f of a. Okay, we'll just say that's what it means, because technically you don't really need that there. They could have probably left that off. But anyway, we'll just say, okay, well, f of a is this. Here, notice you have g's and h's. If you want to just call them all f's, I'm okay with that. You don't even have to use the letter that's there. They're all functions. Okay, they give you different names, so you'll know that you're adding two different functions together. Okay, but your final answer, if you want to just say f of x equals as your final answer, that's fine. Okay, all right, any questions?